You can't pitch a book to me and say it's Love Island meets Lord of the Flies and not expect me to read it. Sorry. Summer is finally here. I am so excited to be in the warm weather and to not have to wear sweaters all the time, even though I love sweater weather, but it hasn't been sweater weather. It's been like this in between of the freezing cold and the blazing hot. So there hasn't even been a sweater weather in between. It's April. It should be warm. If you don't know me, hi, my name is Stefania. I am an actress, audiobook narrator, book lover, living in New York City, if you couldn't tell. And I am so intrigued by this month's book. I know I said I was going to do sci-fi. Honestly, I picked this up because I thought it was going to be more sci-fi than it was. So the book I read this month is called The Compound by rawle. It, again, was pitched to me as Love Island meets Lord of the Flies. Because of that, I would say it's more of like a dystopian genre. If anything, it's kind of hard to tell what time or place this is taking place in. It's our world, but also there are elements that make you question whether or not it's our world, if that makes sense. So let's just get into it, shall we? I picked this book up purely on a whim. I was walking around a bookstore and I saw it there. I read the cover. I was like, color me intrigued, because I am someone who loves to watch every episode of Love Island weekly, both UK and US. I haven't quite gotten into Australia yet, but I feel like as I have more downtime this summer, maybe that's where I'm gonna be leading. But also because of this premise, I was a little bit put off where I was like, I don't really want to read about like Love Island drama in a book. But then I saw it again in a different bookstore, both bookstores which I love, independent bookstores in New York. And I was like, okay, let me see what the hype is about. And no offense to anyone who loves when books are selected for like Oprah or Jenna's book club, but when I see that sticker on there, I'm automatically like, I don't think it's for me. I think it might be a little too mainstream, or because a lot of those books I just haven't ended up enjoying as much as I thought I was going to. And maybe that sounds really pretentious of me because my book taste is not that different from the mainstream. I think I just appreciate the underdogs, as it were. Anyway, all that to say, I finally was like, you know what? I'm just going to read this because I want to read something quick. I want to read something somewhat easy to comprehend, and I want something fun. So, The Compound. Dun, dun, dun. The Compound starts with 10 women and 9 men arriving at a mysterious compound in the desert. Compound is kind of described like the villa in Love Island. There's a pool, there's a big house, shared communal areas, big bedroom with lots of beds in it, some other rooms for like TV and living room. But it's all in this kind of state of disarray. There's empty pizza boxes, there's no furniture, there's some trash. So our main character, Lily, wakes up in this compound. She seems confused, but very quickly knows where she's at. So it seems that all of these people came here willingly. It wasn't like a Maze Runner type deal where people are waking up and they're like, where am I? What am I doing here? They wake up and they very quickly get their bearings. They kind of know what they're there for. So the premise, like I said, is somewhat similar to Love Island. So they're all coming to this compound for the idea of winning, being the last person to stay in the compound. The way that they stay in the compound is they have to be paired up every single night. And by morning, whoever's not paired up is eliminated and goes home. There's also challenges. So there's group challenges where everybody in the group has to participate in order to get the prize or to accomplish the goal. And this is how they get things like food, running water, alcohol, furniture. It starts off with the broad necessities, and the challenges start off pretty easy. Like one of the very first ones is that they all have to say like their deepest secret or their biggest fear, and then they get chairs or beanbags, something of the sort. So the level of difficulty of the challenge kind of equates to the prize that they get. So as they're starting out, there's 19 of them because one of the men mysteriously didn't show up, or, you know, it's kind of left unimplied if he was killed by one of the other boys or what's going on, but they need to be paired up every single night. So already they're starting off, there's 10 women, 9 men. They know that on the very first night there, someone is going to get eliminated. One of the women is going to get eliminated. They also have these personal challenges, which each of them has their own little like TV screen that can accomplish their own challenges. And those prizes are a little bit more, I would say, like luxury items. So it starts off with like makeup and skincare, hair care, soap, clothes, gets more and more luxurious as time goes on, as the challenges get a little bit harder. It might be something that the producers or the audience want to see, like go talk to this person for 30 minutes and you'll get a diamond necklace, or tell this person that you think their mom's a whore and you'll get a pair of fuzzy slippers. Things like that, where it seems that the producers and the audience are kind of driving what these challenges are. Now, the challenges, as the show progresses, they start to realize the importance of doing the challenges. In one instance, they're out of food, so they're starving, and there's no way to get food unless that is the challenge prize that is offered by the producers. So they're just trying to accomplish as many tasks as possible in order to get to the one that will give them food, if that makes sense. They have to complete one task to get the next task. So for example, for that one, they had to hold their breath underwater for 2 minutes, which everyone ends up being able to do except for one girl, but everyone in the group has to complete the challenge in order to win. So one of the other men just holds her underwater for 2 minutes. That's the sort of start of violence within the compound. To me, it's not really clear why they want to stay for so long. Like I said, they are going through, at that point, a point of starvation. There's extreme heat that they're facing from maybe a climate crisis in the outside world. At one point, their water gets shut off. All of these extremes that the producers seem to go to in order to put them in a survival situation so that they must complete the tasks for good TV. It's not clear why they would choose to stay there, to me, other than like very surface level, like they want material goods. And maybe that's the argument of the whole thing, that our material greed and desire for fame, for fortune, all kind of leads us to places we wouldn't normally go. But the difference between like this and Lord of the Flies is like Lord of the Flies, they don't have anywhere else to go. But in this, when people get eliminated, it's sad, but they're fine in the outside world. You know what I mean? Like there don't seem to be any real repercussions if they don't win this thing. So it's hard to feel the stakes of the whole situation when there really aren't any other than being rich and famous. Which I guess you could say for any reality TV show, but then it's like, why are they going to such extremes, is the argument that I'm making. So the outside of the compound is just described as like this vast desert that goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. And it's blazing hot. Once they stay there for a few months, it gets really cold. So again, like it seems like there's some sort of climate crisis happening in the outside world. But again, we don't know any information about the outside world. We know that our main character, like we know the jobs of these people eventually. Like our main character, Lily, works at a beauty counter in a department store. The inference that I'm making is that department stores are still there, meaning that it's our society as we know it, meaning that it's not that dangerous to not be the winner. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are they going to such extreme lengths towards the end? And that's where it kind of lost me. It was entertaining to read, but lost me as any kind of commentary other than entertainment. You know, it started, I was like, okay, maybe there's something bigger going on. Maybe this is more of a romance book, you know, between the main character and a couple of these dudes. But again, it was described as this sort of dystopian, almost sci-fi nature Love Island. Maybe it was the expectations I went into it with. I'll give a brief spoiler warning here, but as the games continue, as more and more people get eliminated, the stakes get much, much higher. Again, I don't know why they don't just leave. But there's a point where the producers shut off all the water in order to try and make the last 4 people work together. And the girls decide that they're going to hoard whatever water that they have, get the men really, really weak so that they can do the last task. The women won't be the losers of that task. It's like a race or something. They won't be the losers. They won't be eliminated. The boys will be eliminated. But it goes on for 3 days of them with having no water. And it leads to violence. One of the characters has to be hospitaled out because he literally is dying from dehydration. One of the other characters is kind of going mad from violence. Once he finds out that the girls are hoarding water, there's like big fight sequences where people are getting bloody. They're breaking their wrists. It doesn't make sense to me that you would do this all for just the easy life. It lost me with the stakes there a little bit. All right, so let's go back and describe some of these characters. So Lily is our main point of view. She self-describes herself as not very smart, but she's really pretty. She knows she's beautiful. She is kind of only in it because she wants more things. Like, she's very clear in her self-interest of literally just wanting the fancy luxury items, the brand deals, the fame that comes with it, the easy life. Apparently, you can stay in the compound as long as you want, and once you get sick of it and the last person leaves, that's when the producers bring in a new group of people. So she dreams that she'll be the last person and she'll be able to stay in this compound for like 6 months and not have to worry about working or buying like life outside of the compound. Again, this is another point where I was like, oh, maybe something terrible is going on out there. Like, not that our world isn't already messed up enough to want to live the easy life for a couple months. There isn't like a life or death stake that makes it clear to me why she or any of the other characters want so badly to be the last person standing. She's a follower for the most part. She doesn't really make a lot of her own decisions, especially in the beginning. Obviously, her arc throughout changes, but at least in the beginning, she's happy to kind of just sit in the background, be pretty, pair up with her men, and again, live the easy life. She doesn't have much motivation for anything beyond that. Then we have Jacinta, who is Lily's kind of best friend in the compound. She's the first one that Lily saw when she woke up. She is the only woman of color described in the compound. She's a Black woman. Already that kind of starts, not tension, but it starts a interesting dynamic between Jacinta and the rest of the group. There's only one other Black male. They end up pairing together, even though Jacinta likes another boy much better, but she's like, this is what the producers and the audience want, is they just want to see the two Black people together. They don't really care about what I want or what he wants. And she starts noticing being treated differently than everybody else. Like, her personal prizes are always foundations that are like too light for her skin, or they try to give her wigs even though she doesn't want to wear wigs. She wants to wear her hair natural. And she even says to Lily at one point, like, they're giving her prizes so that she can look like Lily. Because Lily's like, I don't understand why you don't want these things. And Jacinta's like, because it's not for me. They want me to be you, basically. Jacinta eventually decides to leave the compound on her own terms because she's kind of over it. It's not worth it for her anymore. Then there's Ryan, who is Lily's initial first pairing man. He is who the group voted as the hottest man in the compound. Lily was voted second hottest. Ryan was voted hottest man. They end up pairing together. They seem to be like a really good couple. They're having a great mundane time throughout the beginning. Lily, again, she doesn't seem to want more for herself, even though she kind of feels like she's settling for Ryan because it's easy. It's an easy way for her to get to the end if she just stays with someone that she's like okay with, even if she might have a stronger connection elsewhere. And a big thing for Lily is that she doesn't want to have sex on camera or with people watching. So she doesn't want to do it in the compound. Ryan says he's okay with that. A couple days later, Lily finds him cheating on her with one of the other girls. So there's this whole thing where Lily is genuinely gobsmacked because it feels like maybe they're in this little bubble of perfect romance. Everybody's happy. Everybody's like, they're just living the good life. If they all get along, they're all just having a great time. They're just basically on vacation in the villa, you know? She eventually gets everybody to vote Ryan out of the compound, which does leave herself vulnerable. So that becomes like the first point of no return in the book. For the first time, she's left vulnerable. She doesn't know who she's going to pair with, which leads us to Sam. Sam is who I would describe kind of as like the brains of the group. He seems to be the only level-headed person in the compound. He is who Lily initially is like, has feelings for, but never acts on until this turning point where she's left vulnerable. She strikes up a deal with a different guy who she doesn't like very much, but who he doesn't care about his partner. So she's like, okay, you just have to sleep with me tonight because then we both won't get eliminated. That girl will get eliminated instead. But instead, Sam comes to her bed and pairs up with her, leaving a different girl vulnerable. So this is the first time they're both acting on their feelings, and they kind of have this honeymoon phase of like, I've liked you the whole time. It was just difficult because we were both paired up. We didn't want to see our other partner go home, but here we are. We're going to be happy. We're going to be together. This is when Lily starts getting even more self-absorbed of only spending time with Sam, only wanting to do her personal tasks to get more items for herself. Kind of forgets about Jacintha, which is part of the reason why Jacintha chose to leave, because she's like, even you don't care about me here. So her and Sam start having a really good relationship. Sam at one point offers that they both just leave the compound and be together in the outside world. And Lily's like, why would you ever want to leave here? And Sam's like, well, there's nothing else for us here. Isn't this the whole point, that we find a real connection with somebody and like that's it? And Lily's like, but I want to stay here as long as possible. Not clear why she wants to stay as long as possible, other than just to have an easy life. But it seems like Sam is of my mind, where he's like, I'm over the drama. We've had the luxury, we've had the vacation, time to go home kind of deal. Let's do this in the outside world, because his argument is also like, he wants a real relationship with Lily. He doesn't just want to do whatever the producers want or what the fans want. And it's hard to tell what's real and what's not in the compound, because a lot of these personal challenges might involve talking to people or saying things to people or admitting things to people. So he just wants a real relationship with her. Like, he genuinely does love her and wants to leave with her. She doesn't want to. She ends up letting him go. He leaves on his own accord. Again, another turning point. We're getting to fewer and fewer people in the compound. Candace is kind of the pack leader of the women. She is kind to everybody. Everyone describes her as like the most stunning, the most beautiful. She's basically everything Lily wants to be. She's good at the challenges. She gets the luxury items. She's everything Lily wants to be. She ends up, I don't remember how she ends up leaving. Obviously, it didn't leave that much of an impression on me, but she doesn't last till the end. Candace is paired with Andrew, who's sort of like the pack leader of the men, though I would also argue pack leader of everybody. Him and another character named Tom, who I'll get into, sort of become the governing body. So they become pseudo mayors, pseudo governors of this compound. They're the one divvying up tasks. They're the ones who are giving chores out. Andrew's always peppy, always happy, wanting to make the compound as amazing as possible, making it their safe haven. Him and Candace seem to get along very well. He's always trying to keep things on the right track. We'll come back to Andrew. Let's go to Tom. So Tom, I don't know how Tom stayed as long as he did, because he is like a selfish, brutish, violent man. He's always vigilant of an outside threat coming from outside, which again was like, oh, maybe this is a war-torn world where there's like zombies, or where there's people who are going to come and try to kill them for money. You know, no threats really ever come. He's scared of animals. He's scared of like a fox or a wild dog coming into the compound. I don't really get the stakes of it. Everyone's kind of scared of him. He's really selfish. He keeps most of the prizes for himself, even the group prizes. Like, he hoards to himself. He has like a man cave that he built for himself, even though it's a group compound. And he uses threats to get what he wants, basically. I don't know why he wants to stay so long either, but that becomes a point of contention where the final four, spoiler alert, final four becomes Tom, Andrew, Lily, and this girl, Becca. So Becca was Sam's original partner. So she doesn't like Lily because Sam left her for Lily. The only reason she ended up staying after Sam switched beds was because Tom switched beds to be with her. So Tom's other partner went home. And Becca, at this point, is kind of just driven by vengeance. Like, she only wants to stay long enough to get Tom out, because she finds Tom selfish, violent, threatening. So she really just wants to get Tom out, is her whole arc by the end. She's been the quiet girl. She was the girl that Tom actually held underwater in order to get that food prize in the beginning. So I think from the very beginning, she's felt threatened by Tom, and she'll do anything to see him lose. And she doesn't even want to win. She just wants Tom to lose, basically. So those are the four who make it to the end. Those are the four who things start changing from menial life, living in a compound, to dangerous situations, like the water being shut off. Becca's the one hoarding the water. Becca and Lily are trying to hoard the water to make the men weaker so that they can outlast them. Again, outlast Tom, get Tom eliminated. Becca ends up having her arm broken in a scuffle with Tom once he finds out that that they're hoarding the water. Because of this broken ankle, I don't know what I said, arm, break, ankle. She ends up being the last in this race, of course. Then she gets eliminated. So she doesn't even get to accomplish her goal of seeing Tom lose. Andrew, again, is taken out to be hospitalized for dehydration. So at one point in the compound, it's just Tom and Lily. Lily is still scared of Tom. He's violent. He acts on impulse. She doesn't know how he's going to react, but she also hates Tom. She starts devising plans to get him eliminated no matter what. And this involves a whole thing of luring wild animals that Tom's so afraid of into the compound to attack him. He almost dies. Whole thing. It's a whole thing. Tom ends up leaving because at that point he knows he's defeated once he's attacked. Lily has gone on this violent rampage. Andrew comes back, healed. The producers have healed him. So it's just him and Lily left. Andrew is kind of in a manic episode where he's like, if we can hurt ourselves, the producers will take care of us. And then we can just keep hurting ourselves and they'll take care of us and make us better. And we can stay here as long as we want. And like, there will be no problems. So Lily's are starting to become disillusioned to this life she thought she wanted. So it all kind of devolves from there. Lily does end up being the last one there. She stays a couple weeks. She, as the winner, she gets to ask for anything she wants. She gets to stay as long as she wants. She gets drunk all day. She's basically, the end is that her material life is not good enough without the people in it that she loves. And she leaves to go find Sam. The end. That's a very long synopsis of this book. So some of the themes, obviously, that I think the author was trying to go for were things like late-stage capitalism and material greed. That is literally all some of these characters are driven by. Again, there doesn't seem to be any threat on the outside world of like even extreme poverty or war, or not that there has to be like anything driving people, but it seems that their greed is so exacerbated that there should be something on the outside world that seems scary enough that they don't want to go back there. I don't know. Maybe it's just a commentary on influencers and how they always want more and more and more and more and more, even when they already have enough. Sure. There's this idea of escapism that especially Lily wants. Like, she just wants to not live her own life for like 6 months, 8 months, whatever. She wants to stay as long as possible just to live the easy life. It feels like a social media kind of escapism where you put yourself intentionally in this like disassociation state to ignore all the problems of the real world, but you're not actually solving any of your problems by doing the thing. Of course, within this, there's a social hierarchy. It involves racism, classism, misogyny. As we see, everyone kind of starts out harmoniously, but it quickly devolves into power struggles and men versus women, especially. Like Lord of the Flies, it just devolves into chaos. Interesting that it's men and women, though. Maybe there's something about climate change in there. Again, it's hard to tell if the extreme heat and the extreme cold is any different than what we're seeing now with our climate change. So it's hard to tell, like, are we in the current day and age? Are we in the future? Are we in some other kind of context? Why? Also, another thing is like, why are audiences watching this for maybe up to a year of people doing nothing? At least with like Love Island, yes, it's long. It's like a full month, but there's a definite time where it ends. You know what the winner gets. The winner gets a prize and you know what the goal is. Whereas this one doesn't seem to have a goal. There's no real prize other than when you win, you win. So that's interesting. I like the pacing of it. Again, it was like an easy read, entertaining for the most part. In the middle, it got a little bit like boring and dry. Their day-to-day seemed to be pretty much the same, but maybe that was intentional to show like they are literally just living the same day over and over again because it's easy. I liked Lily's point of view. She's not like the intelligent heroine who's trying to beat the system. She literally is like, I just want brand sponsorships, you know? Like, I just want a diamond necklace. Sure. The things I didn't like were not knowing what the stakes were, what the purpose of this TV show was. Also, like, why did people like Sam, who the whole time is talking about how material greed and like wealth doesn't matter, why would they have joined in the first place if it's a voluntary thing to go to? Maybe he thought it was going to be to find love, but I don't know. It kind of didn't make sense to me why he was there at all unless he had this change of heart throughout the book, and I just didn't catch that. And I also was confused about the resolution, that even though Lily ends up leaving to find Sam for love, she still she literally brings every prize that she won with her and Sam to the outside world. So did she really learn the lesson of like, well, life is better with those we love? Or did she just be like, okay, I'm done? I mean, if you're looking for an easy read that's like entertaining and a little bit different from what we normally see, go for it. It was very entertaining. I was eating it up. I loved the pairings. It was sort of Love Island-esque where I was like, ooh, what's the challenge going to be today? What's the prize going to be today? If you're looking for like super intelligent social commentary or deeper themes, maybe just go read something else. But not every book has to be super deep and have to have an opinion. Sometimes we can just read things for fun and read things that maybe do reflect our current society in a way that is just taken like one step further. So overall, I enjoyed it. Not my favorite book in the world, but like I enjoyed it. So I don't know what to count that as. I guess, like, do I count that as dystopian? Do I count it as pseudo-romance? Like, I don't know. We'll figure out with the rest of our genres what I actually end up wanting to read, and then we can describe from there. But that's all I have for this month's episode. If you guys have any recommendations of books that kind of follow, I love like a survival social hierarchy kind of trope. Like I love the TV show The Wilds. I love Yellow Jackets. I love Survivor. Again, I love Love Island. Anything that gets people, like, I'm so into that. So if you have any recommendations of books sort of like that, let me know. And I will see you guys next time. Happy spring, happy summer, happy warm weather, finally. If it's not the end of the world burning. Okay, bye.